You are welcome, everyone. Welcome to BoomHerVoice Network. This network is born out of deep conviction that every woman carries a story, a strength, and a sound that the world needs to hear. It's a call for everyone to find our courage, our story, and step into spaces of influence with faith and authenticity. So this platform is formed to empower women and young leaders to lead with confidence and clarity, to amplify voices that are overlooked and underestimated, also to build resilience by sharing real conversation on overcoming barriers, balancing leadership, and sustaining faith in challenging times. We said that I was trying to tell us the story of the platform. That's where I started. I said BoomHerVoice Network was born out of deep conviction that every woman carries a story, a strength, and the sound that the whole world needs to hear. Because for so long, so many women that are capable just sit in rooms that their voice are not heard. And even when they have ideas, the ideas are not equal. So BoomHerVoice is to empower women and young leaders to lead with confidence, clarity, and conviction, and to amplify voices, also build resilience by sharing real conversation, which we are about to do tonight, on overcoming barriers, balancing leadership, and sustaining faith in challenging times. It's also to foster empowerment through mentorship, storytelling, and practical leadership insight that transform lives and community. It's also to provide to champion visibility for women, whether you are in politics, business, mission, ministry, or any phase of influence that you are occupying, providing that leadership, proving that leadership wears so many voices and every contribution matters. So this is the reason why the conviction behind the BoomHerVoice Network, and it's gladdening my heart today, because I don't know where you are joining from all over the world, and it will gladden my heart for you to just make it where you are joining. Let us know where you are joining so that we'll be able to acknowledge also that. It gladdens my heart this night to welcome a woman, a development specialist, a woman that has worked over 32 years that has 32 years of experience spanning public health, strategic leadership, and international development. She's the immediate past director representative of the Ghana Multi-Country Office of the United Nations Office for Project Services, UNOPS, where she led large-scale infrastructure and procured work across the Gambia, Ghana, Liberia, Nigeria, and Sierra Leone. Her journey has taken her from the boardroom of advertising to the front lines of public health with Society for Family Health, to leadership roles in WaterAid and ActionAid across Nigeria, Haiti, and Senegal, and now to the helm of our own consultancy. Along the way, she has been recognized as invisible giant by Africa Rising for her work in social justice and named among 100 leading women in Nigeria in 2024. She recently released her memoir, Grace and Grit: My Journey of Faith, Purpose, and Leadership, a story of a woman who did not just build a career, but build a life of conviction. She's a wife, a mother, woman of deep faith, and today she's here to tell us not just what she built, but who helped her build it. Please join me to welcome Dr. Ifeoma Charles-Momwuba to BoomHerVoice Network. And in actual fact, to add a little to it, she's my mentor too. To the glory of God, we also work together in ActionAid. And that in those spaces, we always look for mentor. And at a particular time when we had a program, She was my accountability partner. So welcoming tonight is my mentor and my accountability partner. So you are welcome, Ma. I'm so glad that you are part of us tonight, and we are glad to share from your word of experience. You are welcome, Ma.
Thank you so much, Honorable Bumi.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Like I mentioned, that over 30 years across continents and sectors, no one climbed alone, definitely. And I know you did not. No one climbs alone. Before we talk about what to build, tell us who was standing behind you.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. Let me join Honorable Bumi to welcome us to today's session. I'm glad to be here. Bumi, for those who do not know, especially my contacts that are on the call, is the first female speaker of the Ekiti House of Assembly. And she was also a colleague, like she mentioned, when we were in ActionAid back in the day. Thanks, Bumi, for inviting me. And to your question, for me, it has always been God all the way. He has been the one standing by me, and I attribute everything to Him. I'm a product of grace. And like you mentioned, my memoir has just been released and it's titled Grace and Grit. And that's because I'm just simply a product of grace, coming from the background that I have and finding myself at the point where I am now in my career. It can only be by His grace. So I always just basically stopped there. Even in the dedication of the book, it was just the fact that God has always been sufficient. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ma. God's grace is sufficient for us. This is BoomHerVoice Network, just for people to know that my name is also Olubunmi Adelugba, as she mentioned. It's not about me tonight, it's about Dr. Ifeoma. Tonight, we'll also go straight so that we don't waste so much time. If you had to describe the thread connecting advertising, public health, and international development, what would you say it is? Because the two of them, the three of them actually look like they are not the same, but you know, what is the thread that is connecting them?
That's a very interesting question because some people say, oh, you read mass communication. Oh, well, then you're working in water sector, you're working in public health, you're heading an infrastructure and procurement organization. For me, the one thread is communication as a tool for change, behavior change and shifting power. It's about influencing, you know. The only thing that has happened in my career is that I just aimed at bigger targets as I go each time. While in advertising, I learned to build a message and move an audience. I launched always diaper, always sanitary napkin and Pampers diapers when Procter & Gamble came into Nigeria. It was an account that I managed as part of Sunrise Airbnb. And so that was just to get people to buy things. But when I moved into public health, I started crafting messages redirected, towards stigma, HIV stigma, and behavior change, looking at prevention and women's access to contraceptives. And then when I got to WaterAid, it was about community, getting entire communities to be open defecation free. And of course, you knew that when we were in ActionAid, it was about policy change, influencing government policy, influencing the budget. And at UNOPS, I was talking to presidents, ministers, and donors across the countries where I work. And so it's one skill, really, if you look at it, is persuasion, is relationship building, is applying and appealing to an expanded scale of audience, from consumers when I first started in advertising to community, to government, and, basically targeting global institutions. So it's about influencing, it's about communication, it's about change.
Thank you so much. Actually, it's about communicating. It's about change. It's about finding solution. Everything is still connecting. Thank you so much, man. Um, Talking about your career journey, you move from advertising to public health, then governance. Still, like we have had the question that we asked. Then humanitarian work in Nigeria, Haiti and Senegal. And finally, into large-scale infrastructural leadership with UNOPS. What made you willing to keep starting over, and who encouraged you at every time you did?
Hmm. I am someone that likes a good challenge any day. I actually get bored easily. So I normally would want to um, do things that challenge me instead of being in my comfort zone. And that's what has been pushing me. I remember I started out in advertising, and by 96, I was bored. Coming to work became routine because I already learned the ropes and I wanted something new. Went back for a second master's and did that in law and international law and diplomacy, and now began to expand my horizon. And by the time I got to SFH and I've basically ran several campaigns, it became routine. And I wanted something more because there's really a whole lot of problem to be solved. And like I said, communication remained my tool for solving that. So I always wanted a new challenge once whatever I'm doing becomes routine. So that's what has been driving me, because I know there are problems to be solved. And I have, by the grace of God, the skill sets to do that. And that also meant that I kept developing myself, because really, while it's communication all the way, you still need some different skill sets. It's a different skill set that you need when you're talking to consumers and when you are trying to pitch a president to let go of millions of dollars for you to do a project for the country. So again, improving myself as I went along. With your questions as to who supported me, of course, it was my family, my parents first, my siblings, and then my husband. My children were not left out of it, and friends and brethren who basically were around me, cheering me on every stage and encouraging me. And one thing I want people to take away from this is that, don't become routine, don't be comfortable. Once you become comfortable, you begin to lose your edge. You really need to use routine as a fuel for your growth, and make sure that you have the right people around you affirming you as you move up. Back to you.
Okay. So looking at, I think I'll sort that one later. Relocating from roles in Haiti and Senegal away from Nigeria, how did your family navigate that together? What conversation had to happen at home before you could say yes?
Yeah, as a wife and mother, I think this is the hardest part of my career, separating from my family, especially the young children in their formative years. Going off to Haiti was particularly hard because the twins were in their transition year from primary to secondary school. I needed to prep for common entrance. But my husband and my siblings came through for me. They stood and were able to support the children in that season. And I also tried to stay present from a distance. And that's one thing I've done all through my career. Once smartphones became available, made sure that there was one at home with Skype back then installed in it, and made sure I had regular video calls with the children from Haiti, stayed connected and making sure that the children are on track. So it's really, it wasn't easy. And I'm saying this because I know that there are women of reproductive age in the call. It's not going to be easy, but it's a conversation that you need to have. And even before
Yes,
you get
I'm
it.
hearing you.
Okay, so I hope others are hearing me and I'm not talking to myself.
Okay.
Can
Okay.
somebody confirm?
hear you clearly.
We're hearing you very well.
Okay. Thank you so much. As director representative for UNOPS across 5 countries, you led major infrastructure, energy, agriculture, and health projects. What a moment from that chapter you are most proud of?
Okay, well, so in the UN, I was a multi-country director, like she mentioned, covering 5 countries, based out of Accra, Ghana. In UNOPS, we built hospitals, regional hospitals, health centers, power plants, feeder roads, agriculture milling plants, you name it, oxygen plants in Borno, hospitals in Yobe, even in Anambra State, we worked on the flooding. But one moment that stayed with me is in Ghana's Upper East region, Bolgatanga to be precise. We worked and installed incubators in the primary health care centers. And in one of the days while my team were working in one particular community health center, a woman was brought in who was in preterm labor, premature labor. And immediately she delivered, her baby needed those incubators we just installed.
Victor.
The technicians were practically still installing, but her baby was quickly moved into one of them and stabilized. And that gladdened my heart. That is one of the reasons why I actually get up and do the work that I do, because I could feel what we're doing tangibly, touching life. In the Gambia, we built a feeder roads, 104-kilometer feeder roads, connecting rural farms to the market. It improved women's access, to markets, reduced post-harvest loss, and I could see these women actually making a whole lot more money from their back-breaking labor. And so it's that touching of people's life that stay with me. As somebody who lost my first daughter 2 weeks after I had them, when I see a baby's life saved, it makes me feel as if I've contributed something in reducing that statistics of infant mortality. So that's something that stayed with me. And so really, I would say that big infrastructures are not just the ultimate. It's really the lives that you've changed and not just the numbers of structures that you have built. Thank you. Back to you, Honorable.
Okay. While we wait for her to continue, there are some summaries in the chat box. I don't know if we have people that have questions.
I think I muted myself. I didn't know that I was muted. Okay. I'm so sorry about that.
Okay.
I muted myself, not knowing that I was muted. And I was actually talking. I said that is quite touching, and it can be. It is what you really love that is actually moving you this far, and we are seeing it in everything that you put, so that you also put up to do. We are always seeing it there. Still talking about support system. What role was what role has your husband played in making this career possible? Practical example that we want to learn with, not emotional. Was there a moment your husband had to sacrifice something of his own, his plan, comfort, or convenience for your career to move forward? What was it like for both of you?
Well, my husband supported my career even before we got married. It was a conversation that we had, and he has actively supported me to keep building my career. I remember when I had a second set of twins, and I got the opportunity to go to the University of Washington for a fellowship program. And we started discussing it, and he was like, wow, this is a good opportunity for you, but what are we going to do? The twins are just 11 months old. And we were discussing. He said, I can cope if your mom can come in one of your sisters is already with us. If your mom comes in, I could hire another house help, and we should be able to manage while you go away. And of course, I spoke with my dad, who agreed for my mom to come over for that 1-year period. And he graciously took in my mom and my sisters and the house help, and they were able to cope and hold these children while I went away to Seattle. And of course, 2 of the jobs I've done in the sequences were all found by him, actually. When I came back from the States in 2005, he was the one that found the WaterAid vacancy and said, oh, I saw something that fits your career. Even though he was in Lagos, the job was in Abuja, and he encouraged me to apply. And after some years in WaterAid, ActionAid advertised, he was also the one that called my attention to it and said, oh, I think you are fit for this role. So he's been an active supporter and doing his part in being with the children while I pursued my career.
Ah, wonderful. Please, please just give some emojis to let us know that this, our daddy has actually supported our doctor and is still doing that. And we appreciate him. Let us appreciate him. I also want to let us know that this is a very interactive section. So if you have any question for doctor, she will be glad to actually answer. I don't mind, I will pause for you to answer it. If you raise up your hand or you just interject, you'll be allowed to do that. Moving on, where at this, I discovered that all your journey through, they are all male-dominated area. Advertising, governance, international development. Was there any man who genuinely opened the door for you rather than guided it? What did he do?
Well, I wouldn't want to. I think the person I'll give that honor to is my late father, Sergio Esufundu, who was the chief door opener as far as I'm concerned, because one, he prioritized my education and that of my siblings. And when this is articulated in my book, when at 16, when I finished WAEC and came home and had suitors that I could have married at 16 and truncated my education, he stood his ground, even if it meant losing money that would have boosted his business. He stood his ground that I was heading to the university. So for me, I think I owe that honor to my father. He also taught me to have a voice. He sat me down and encouraged me, when things are happening in the family, larger family. He told me his perspective, his view, why he's having that view, tells me what my uncle's views are, and and I'm able to interrogate and ask him questions and all of that. So really, my father is the person that really I stood on his shoulders to aspire, and he supported my aspiration. So that's one thing I would say. My husband and then the spiritual mentors also who were around me are other men that encouraged me to go ahead. So I would say to people that are listening that the people who open doors for us are not often those that believe in our potential, but is that rather see our potential, but they believe that there's something in you. My father believed that I wasn't just going to end up being just a wife, and he gave me that encouragement.
Yeah, I'm really glad for Daddy, and I'm sure wherever he is now, I'm glad that he did that. Thank you so much for that. I have a hand up, and the name is not there. It's Infinix X27288. Please, as you are joining, it will be good for us to rename our device. That hand that is up, you can unmute yourself and speak, but please, after, we need to rename your device. You have the floor, please. So your name as you speak. Okay, the hand has dropped. Okay, it means we have to continue. That person is not speaking. But when you are ready to speak, we'll be ready to hear too. So moving on, what will you say to men in leadership about what real allyship for women look like? Not in theory, but in practice.
Mm. Well, this is a loaded question because it has various perspective and intersectional issues to look at. Because first of all, men and even the women need to understand that society still expects women to carry the full weight of unpaid care work at home, even as they contribute financially. Women are still expected to nurse sick relatives, prepare meals, provide childcare. So for me, a male that is a real ally in the workplace needs to understand this. And that means that there's no harassment, first of all. He's not hitting on the woman and seeking sexual favor. He's creating a workplace that is safe for her to be in, such that her husband or in-laws or whatever are not feeling, that she's going out there and compromising the vows of her union. He's also a person that doesn't set up meetings at 4 p.m. You remember back in the day, someone we both know together that will set up meetings at 4 p.m., forgetting that this woman has either a baby at a creche or is married to somebody that expects a fresh soup that evening, and she needs to pass through the market before the market closes. So somebody that understands that weekends are for family. And even if there is going to be a weekend work, it has to be an exception and not the norm. And where weekend work is done, that the woman is given time in lieu. For me, it's also about flexible working, arrangement, family-friendly policies that allow flexible working, remote work arrangement, maternity, paternity leaves. And one of the things that helped me, I had all my children while I was rising up in management. All of them attended board meeting from the first to the last. I was suckling my babies in board meetings, and there were creches just right there in the office for them. So it's also the man that understands that woman needs that accommodation of having creche right there in the office that enables the lactating mother to have her baby close by. And finally, I would say sharing information and opportunity freely. Sometimes we see people withholding knowledge, from women, and this stunts their growth. Some people just discuss as if in a boys' company, and the woman doesn't know that opportunity for training or other things are available, and eventually she gets frustrated. So real allyship, really, if you ask me, is structured. It's not sentimental. It shows up in meeting times, in travel policies, and who gets opportunities as well. So if men are going to be allied, they need to understand what women need to make their work safe, and allows them to juggle that with the other roles that they carry in society. Thank you.
Thank you so much, my accountability partner. It's actually, the story is, really very touching. And for men, there are a couple of them in the house tonight. I know that when they support a woman like that, they are able to get a good output. Thank you so much. If you are joining us for the first time, this is BoomHerVoice Network. It's a network dedicated to amplifying women's voices, empowering young leaders to lead with courage and conviction, and transforming nations. And with us tonight is Dr. Ifeoma Charles-Momwuba. I'm sure that maybe I'm not pronouncing that name very well, but we have an intellectual woman, a woman of so much many diversity, a woman that have ventured into so many fields that actually she has been able to connect them with us tonight. But if you look at those fields, you will be saying that they are not connected. But somehow along the line, has connected all. It's about empowering, about voices. It's about talking and being in space for people for development. looking back, will you say your support system was something that you are giving or you worked seriously for it, uh, or something had to do to build and fight for it? So I think that's has been answered. I think that has been answered because we have seen that people that are your support system, they are willing, they you know, they really, you know, they were there. It's not that you, it's not a matter of, oh, you have to do it for me. There are things that they actually did voluntarily. So moving on.
Well, Bumi, let me just say a tribute to my late mother as well. I don't know how other people experience their own, but mine, like my dad, was equally supportive. I mean, leaving the comfort of her own home to come and stay 1 year with my own children, you know, it's not a small feat. And she did that. And even after my dad passed, she moved in with me and was always, you know, there with my children when I travel a lot. And then, of course, I've had my sisters, and I want to acknowledge that they were also there, you know, the last three being like de facto moms to my children. And then I've had friends. I really wanted to bring this up because you have to be deliberate about building your support system if you're going to succeed as a career woman. It's not something you leave to chance. You have to be somebody who gives, and therefore people are willing to give onto you as well. You know, I have friends, colleagues who go when I'm not around to my home to check on my children. Some take them out, some I live in their care. And even now that my children are young adults, I have friends both in the States, in the UK, who go out of their way to be present for them. I particularly want to honor my late friend, Dr. Ronke Ladipo, who, if not for her, I would have lost both twins the first time. She was the one that went to the hospital, saw that they were infected, and drove around Ikeja to find the hospital where they were transferred to. So really, a strong support system rarely happens by accident. It's built through relationships, invested long before you need them. It's not when you need them, you start calling somebody. That's extraction. You really have to build that relationship.
Thank you so much for that clarity. We've learned over the time that there is someone that actually supports, survive, or move up alone. Someone has to just lift up your hands up. Can be your parent, can be your friend, and somebody has to just be there for you at any particular time. This is our support system, and we have been told that support system are not accidental. It's something that you intentionally build yourself. It's not when you need them that you begin to call them. Thank you so much for that clarity. And talking of faith, I read, or we have listened to your profile, that you are a woman of faith and a devoted wife and mother. And the opening sentence you read to us was that everything about you is about grace. So how were you able to connect being a woman of faith, a mother, and how, with all, there is none of them that is not demanding? And with global career, how have you been able to hold or head those identity together?
Well, first things first, I would say that my relationship with God is my true north, really. Is my true north. It determines and shapes every other thing. How I treat people, how I raise my children, the jobs I choose to apply for, or why I even walk out of some jobs, how I manage my resources. So that relationship is the true north. And then every other thing is woven in, centering on that relationship. So it's not been easy, but I've been able to, by that grace and the grit that God has given me, to be able to walk through it. And so it's demanding, but then understanding that, you know, you seek him first, every other thing gets added into what you're doing. Sometimes what we miss is that when we get into some roles, we make our relationship with God a back seat. And once you do that, you start doing the heavy lifting yourself. But when you still remember that he gave you this role and you prioritize that relationship with him, you see his hand coming. An Isaiah 41:10 woman, I always say, he says, do not be afraid, I will help you. And he has helped. He's brought people in the office places who helped, in neighborhoods and everywhere. I've been helped. And so I think that it's that being able to stay true to your faith, anchoring, these many roles into one non-negotiable core. Every other thing just flexes around it. That's how I've been able to manage so far.
Oh, that's wonderful. Choosing the kingdom of God first, and every other thing we align. That's what the word of God actually made us to understand. So, knowing God is not negotiable, and seeing God move is something that you see after. Thank you so much for that. In making decision in life, making decision even in career and everything, we also know that God take the center space. So we appreciate that in every of your career move. Looking at Grace and Grit, your memoir. Your memoir is titled Grace and Grit, My Journey of Faith, Purpose and Leadership. What those two words, what do they really mean to you?
If there's something I always say is I'm a product of grace. Because I've had opportunities that have come my way that I didn't even know existed. Take, for instance, the opportunity to go to Seattle. I didn't even know that the University of Washington was running a population leadership program. I wasn't aware. But the year before, I had gone to a John Hopkins organized event in Lagos, representing Society for Family Health at that time. And at the meeting, I raised my hand and made a contribution and got on the flight, went back to my office, only for somebody to send me a mail a couple of months later and say, oh, I was in that meeting in Lagos. This is a professor in America. I came for that meeting. I heard your contribution. And there's this program that the University of Washington is doing, and I think you should apply. And that was it. I didn't know the program existed. Somebody heard me, said I should apply, and I applied and I got that program. That changed a whole lot of things. That 1 year in Seattle, what we were taught and all of that propelled my career. So, I can't put that on me that I knew I was searching and whatever. I wasn't. It just came that way. The work I did, my last role, I applied for a national country manager position, to head one country. But after the interview, the panel said to me, they said, okay, you're the preferred candidate, and they started processing that. A couple of weeks later, they came back and said, oh, the multi-country director resigned, and the panel thinks, after listening to you, that you can be a multi-country director. Do you want to apply for that? And that was how I applied and became a multi-country director. So when I look at those, it's just grace speaking. Yes. But then when grace opens that door, you have to have the grit to, which is the courage and perseverance to keep going. When I finished secondary school, I came out with four credits, an A and 3 other credits. And that wasn't sufficient to get me into the university. I did GCE the following year, repeated the results, but I had to go back, re-register for WAEC, and now came out with my degree and all of that. My PhD, I started in 97, but got married soon after, dropped that because children, work and everything. But I still went back and re-enrolled in 2000 and 2020 and finished in 2023. So it's the grace on one side, but there is also the grit to keep going, even when you hit obstacles, to just keep determined to keep going. And so that's just my life. Grace opens the door that you didn't know exist, but it's the grit is what gets you through the hard and slow ones and keeps you going. So that's why those two words just depict what my life journey has been.
That's wonderful. Wonderful. In short, God's open door. If you are not able to enter into door, it's not God's problem. Hard work is also very important in the journey of life. You pray, you walk and pray. It's not praying, it's not asking for grace. It's not praying that God bring job for me. When you get that job, ability to be able to take the opportunity, grip the opportunity is also very important. Thank you so much for that beautiful response. Talking about legacy and voice. I don't know if there's any question in the chat room, or is there anyone that wants to ask question? Dr. Kevin, please, can you help us check if there's any question in the chat room or anyone?
Yes, there's a question. There's a question from Okore Chinyere. Is that my friend? Okay.
Yes.
Chini, are you the one? Okay, she can't unmute.
Okay.
She can't unmute. So thank you, Dr. Ife. I'm reading it out now. Thank you, Dr. Ife, for your responses to the questions by Honorable Bumi. I want to know if at any point of your career, you sort of quitting due to the time spent outside your home because of the requirements of your job. What will you advise the young moms who are also career conscious in balancing both? How were you able to practice the work-life balance with demanding responsibilities from the office and family? I am unable to unmute my microphone. This is from Chinyere Okorie.
Well, so she has multiple questions folded into one there. One thing about building a career in such a way that it doesn't hurt your home is that it's a conversation that you need to have with your partner from the onset. It's not something that you stumble into later. You really need to have that conversation before both of you go. You know, the Bible says that two cannot work together unless they agree. If you people are not agreed on the fact that you have a career, you're going to struggle because the person will not be able to manage it when the career demands begin to come. So that's the first thing. The other is to work with your partner in such a way that issues around unpaid care work, that's what normally brings the challenge. Society, for whatever reason, still expects the woman to handle the bulk of the unpaid care work. But if you and your partner have had that conversation before you even started, he is going to be able to understand the need to get paid help, you know, into help, or from his siblings or your siblings to be part of your support system to help with that. Because that's where the issue normally comes. Oh, I came back, my food is not ready. Oh, the house is dirty, and all of those kind of stuff. But if you're able to either get paid help to take care of all of those things, it minimizes that. And if the person can also, because there's nothing that says only a woman should cook, you know, men cook. And when they cook, they actually price it very high. They are called chef. They also do laundry. And when they do laundry, they are dry cleaners. So all of these things that women are left doing at home, men do it for money. And so that means that there's no biological thing that says a man can't cook or can't clean or wash clothes or anything. So it's having that conversation so that he's comfortable when you travel, that, you know, he's able to hold forth in the house. So that's another. But then there's also the bit about planning. You know, one of the things I did was to plan. I used to have a menu when my children were younger. Menu that goes from Sunday to Saturday. What's for breakfast? What's for lunch? What's for dinner? What's going into the lunch pack for the children? So all of these things are planned such that weekends I do heavy cooking to make sure that I prep for all of those things for the week, so that I don't come back from work at 6 or 7 p.m. and I'm sweating over a hot stove trying to start everything from scratch. You prep, you prep the things, make the stews, the soups and all of that. So you're just doing light cooking in the evening. So you need to plan those wardrobes, what children wear Monday to Friday. You lay that out, what is happening. When you go to market, you buy bulk for their what's it called, refreshments for school supplies and everything. So some forward planning. You're not going to run a proper home and a career if you're not organized and you don't plan, because it's that morning that you start sending somebody to go and buy spaghetti that you cook to put in their lunch box. If they're going with the school bus, they will miss the bus. If you're going to take them, you go late and then you come to the office sweating and tired and telling your boss that traffic. And that, of course, begins to count against you in the workplace because you're not holding it down properly there. So you really need to be organized and plan if you're going to run a career. And everything has to be forward thinking. You need to think about it before it happens and not just wake up in the morning, start thinking, what will people eat? No, you're not going to be able to hold a career doing that. So please have that conversation with your partner. Be present. Those of us that do work that require traveling, work your phones, call your children, do video calls, check on assignments and all of those things. Know their teachers, so that they're able to tell you if your child is misbehaving or doing any rash thing in school. So all of those network, all my children's teachers from creche to university, I know them. I have phone numbers. I call. During holidays, I send books or things as gifts. But the Bible says, it makes a way for you. The person is able to pay attention to your child, is able to call you if homeworks are not submitted on time because you are away and you were told, okay, mommy, I've done it. You're not at home to check. So it's that teacher that would let you know that, no, this assignment didn't come in. So you really need to be on top of your game if you really want this career. Otherwise, you might be able to get into trouble either in the office because you're coming late and looking flustered, or at home, you're coming late and there's nothing prepped and all of that, and your home is disorganized. Either way, you need to be on top of your game.
Oh, thank you so much for that wonderful explanation. It's not easy for any woman to be up there. There's no doubt about it. See all the dimension, all the things that women have to do, the prep and everything is not easy. But God has really helped you. The grace of God was actually very available. I have another person that just raised up the hand. Adebola Alimat Babalola. Please unmute yourself and speak.
Good evening, Mas. Thank you very much for this night. It's been insightful. Ma, please, what you just answered I think is exactly my case, because the paid help comes and go. They are not kind of stable, and to manage career and 4 toddlers has been very, very challenging. My spouse is very busy. Even if he wants to, he's very busy. He can only come in and feed the children, and he doesn't have much time to even attend to anything at home. So that is why I love the question when the person asks, is there a time you have to go out of active career to just face the home front? Please, ma, can you answer that, ma? Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you, Alimat.
thank you. Yeah, well, I haven't had to drop off work. And that I owe to my husband, my mom, my siblings. And of course my dad. They've always been around me. So they've basically held the fort when I go out. And so where you don't have that support, because I've had my shares of also strange house helps and all the dramas that come with that. But because I've had good support from trusted family members, I don't have the experience of dropping off work. But where that becomes necessary, we're living in an age where technology allows you to either flex work or to do flexible working, or also look for alternative means of income such that you're able to take off some time to work. But in saying that, I would also say to you and your partner, whose work is bringing the resources that is needed the more. Rents are not coming down, fuel, everything. If, for instance, your partner is earning X amount and what you're earning is more and brings more comfort to the family, you might want to have conversation between the two of you. It's usually hard, but it's a conversation that must be had. I've had friends whose husband decided to stay at home, especially when living abroad, where finding help is pretty expensive. Some have taken to be stay at home for the 6 months or so for their children to be old enough to get into creche and all of that. Some have shared alternating days. That's why I talked about when I was asked about allyship. I mentioned flexible arrangement. One thing that we picked that was good out of COVID was alternative ways of working. The fact that you can stay at home, especially if your work is computer-based, and deliver. And so if that's the case, try negotiating maybe 2 days work from home, while your husband also tries to negotiate 2 days work from home. And between the two of you, you should be able to now be able to cover the week with this person staying at home and supervising the help and working from home, and the other time, the other person. That way, both of your career can continue. But where it becomes impossible, really, where all the money, especially those living abroad, you make the money and you transfer it to the caregiver and all of that, then one of you might decide to take some gap year, stay at home until the children are nurtured and probably get into kindergarten or something that allows you to work. But the fact remains that the literature is out there that most times we just say it's the woman that has to stay at home, even where she has the opportunity to bring a higher income and make the family more comfortable. But because of patriarchy, because of ego, you just say she's the one to stay at home and everybody suffers. She stays at home. What the man is bringing is not enough. And then the children are demanding, school fees are coming and all of that. It creates tension. And you find out that your relationship is not optimized because you're always quarreling over money. But if the person with the highest income stays, at work, which might be the woman in some cases, you can manage your family finances a little bit better. So communication is key in your relationship to be able to keep your career going. And again, like I said, it's making use of everything. Early child centers like creche, living work, arranging flexi times, really. In my office, I had people that resume at 7 a.m. So they go drop their children at 7 a.m. and they are closing slightly earlier than everybody else because work really starts at 8. They resume at 7. And instead of leaving at 4:30, they're leaving at 3 because they started early. And then they pick their children from the creche and they're heading home. So they're able to juggle that. So this is a conversation. You can also have that with your boss in terms of that flexible arrangement of starting earlier than everybody and leaving earlier so that you can manage within the time that the school or the creche is open to support you. I hope I've answered your question.
Thank you so much. I guess so. But Alimat, I hope your question is answered.
Yes, ma. Thank you, ma.
Welcome. Let me just read this from the chat room. Dr. Femi, okay, let me just read this since I'm seeing it. This is from Ifenis. Please rename your device, but I'm going to read this to our special guest of tonight. He said, "Hello, Dr. Ife. I couldn't unmute my phone. Please, what can you say for a young career woman who wants to
I thought
transit?"
that was the same thing from they've read, is it not? I think that's the one from Chinyere that was read. Kemi, can you confirm?
No, it's another one. This one is from Obianu to Jane.
Okay.
Let me
Okay,
just
go
finish
ahead.
it. If it's the same thing, just summarize for her. A young woman, a young career woman who wants to transit to another career dimension, to another, but each move look as if she's eating a raw, like transiting from marketing to administration. This is from Obianuju Jane.
Okay. Okay. One thing about career and career moves is to keep upskilling yourself. You need to upskill. You need to look at what skill is needed in the area you're moving to. Sometimes you can't just transfer what you're doing here to there. You need to learn. I headed an infrastructure organization, and I'm coming with 2 master's degree, none of them in engineering, and a PhD in communication. But I had to learn. I have to learn how to read the bill of quantities. I have to learn how to read feeding contracts. I have to learn how IPCs are measured and all of that. And then for procurement, to be a procurement authority, I had to learn, how to review procurement contracts, both the technical and the financial and all of those. So you really need to build your skill. Look at that area you want to pivot to and look at the skill sets that are needed. Fortunately, there are quite a number of free online courses that you can take. Find out the skill sets that are needed. And most times now, people need certification. There are various certifications online as well. Please get your skill tuned up and then apply. And then, of course, because of funding cuts, some agencies might not have money to employ. You can volunteer and just start from that volunteering, build your skill on that, study them, and then when they see your aptitude, that gets you going. I want to say that when I finished my undergrad year, we couldn't join youth service immediately. And I went back to the office where I did my second IT. And they said to me, we don't have space now, but our receptionist is going on maternity leave. I could have said, I'm a degree holder, I'm a this, that, I can't be a receptionist. But I said, why not? Instead of staying at home and watching television, I took up that role as a receptionist. And what happened? The office itself transferred my NYC from where it was posted in Edo to Lagos and wrote NYC to post me to that office. And while working in that office, they paid for me to get my first master's at UI. So it's really how you also carry yourself and your aptitude that people see that will now determine the altitude that you're flying at. Thank you.
Thank you, your attitude determine your attitude. And at any particular time when you get a new job, you must upskill. Because if you don't do that, even the same job, if you're an accountant, you need to know the relevant laws, the new laws. You need to continue to upgrade yourself. I want to read to our guest again. I want to publicly give the speaker, Dr. Ifeoma Charles her flowers. She deserves more for being more than my support base when she was my boss. She's a practical example of counter that say that women do not support each other. Dr. Ifeoma is a good example that when women support, they support with understanding and empathy. God bless and honor you, Ife, for all that you did. I want us to clap for our speaker of tonight. Please let us give her. She supported me. She encouraged me. I can't tell her story on this platform. But I'm so happy that Augusta is on the line tonight. Kemi Akimushire is there. Chirinyere is there. So many of us. And I'm also seeing Auntie Christy Laniyon. He said it is very crucial for a woman to build a network of relationship and connection to support domestically and professionally. These are all my big supporter. Thank you so much, Auntie Christy, for coming to join us tonight. Somebody say, please, where you do not have trusted support, like Dr. Ife is saying, okay, sorry. When you do not have trusted support, like Dr. Ife is saying, you must look for alternative, remote. One of my greatest regrets is not thinking, it's not thinking, my greatest reward is not taking my children to work. Where I could continue bonding and providing better oversight. The target is to do more parenting while children are younger, so they turn out the way you want, to avoid heartache in future. No regrets. Whatever, I don't know, maybe our clients want, our special guests want to also add to it. There's no regret. Whatever you choose to, whatever method you want to use is what, is what that was always be the advantage. All we are saying is there are some things that women can actually put in place to help you. There are some things that you can actually do for you to be able to combine everything together, because as your children are growing, I always say, if our children are growing, somehow when your children are grown, most of us as our children are not at home now, if you don't have something that you are doing, it can be very, very, boredom will come and something like that. So I don't know whether, Doctor, if you want to say something about, so that's our sister.
Yeah, well, I think what she was basically saying is that she didn't think of keeping her children close by her when her career, when they were much younger. So it's important, really. Those are the formative years for the children. And so where you can't find trusted support like I had, that's where I was saying that between you and your partner, you have to decide who stays home and help with them. It's important. Those formative years are important, that someone is there with them, providing that nurturing. And like I said, with the things that are happening now, technology and all of that, you can flexi work from home for some time to be able to provide that care. Remote working is also happening now. You might just pivot from what is maybe you were doing accountancy and maybe they require you in the office all the time. You can pivot to a job that is more administration and all of that, or auditing, so that you're able to do that remotely from your home and you're present there for your children. What I'm basically saying is that we shouldn't always just make that conclusion that is the woman that must be the one shelving their careers, because they're already suffering a lot. Even where today in one of the professional platforms that I belong to, I was sharing a report I saw about the pay gap in academia, where male teachers, professors are being paid more than the female. And the researchers looked at various parameters and nobody could explain why. So you're already dealing with that. By the time you go on mat leave, the male colleagues are already advancing their career. So really taking more years off means that you would always be lagging behind. So again, try to see how it works. But where you don't have trusted help, that might be some of the sacrifices you need to make to stay until the children pass their formative years, and then you can pursue your career at full throttle.
Thank you so much. Our time is fast spent, but I would also still want you to talk a little about legacy. BoomHerVoice Network is a platform dedicated to amplifying voices and empowering young leaders to speak and write with conviction. And we believe that every woman carries a story, a strength, and a voice that the whole world needs to hear. Before you tell us the story, the particular story that you want to, a lot of story have been told. That what is your story? What the story that you have told us all? What is it trying to tell? What is it trying to tell the world? But I want us to combine that with this your new consultancy. What are you building in this season that you have not built for all this situation that you have passed through?
Well, the work, I've learned so much actually. I've been both on the NGO side, on the UN side, in the private sector, and I've seen quite a breadth of experience. And so my work at Communicate Change is really to support agencies, to support development partners and government agencies to design sustainable projects that really meet community needs. Sometimes some of the things we design sometimes are not always, they are just maybe what our donors want, but we really need to look at what does the community need, because that's what is going to be sustainable, and how do they find ownership in what we are designing. So that's part of the things that I do at Communicate Change. And then, of course, following the publishing of the memoir is also to mentor young people, which was why I accepted the invitation when it was offered to speak tonight, to share of the experience that I have had the privilege to live to live out, and to share that so that others can benefit from that in modeling and building their own career. So really building something meaningful for institutions going forward. In terms of what story, I don't know how you put it, but what story am I trying to tell? What I'm basically saying to young ladies is that no matter your background, if you're willing to work hard with God on your side, you'll be amazed at how far you can go. I'm a first generation graduate, and I've gone all the way to having my doctorate. Two of my children are in postgraduate studies already. So you can basically lift your family, lift yourself beyond your starting point. Don't look at yourself and say, oh no, these are for people from here or people that have this kind of background. Background is a starting point, it's not a ceiling. So you really need to be able to shake it off and explore the horizon and just begin to move. And with God on your side, you'll be amazed at what you will be able to achieve.
Thank you, ma. With God on your side, we can get to where we want to get to. And it's also about you lift up yourself and your family together at the same time. We appreciate you. What piece of advice will you give to young people? Anyway, you have already given the young people advice, but what piece of advice will you give to young people when they are choosing people? Like husband, that kind of friend and mentors, who will surround them on the way up? What advice do you want to give to young people?
Well, one of the things that I normally would say is be around people with vision. Be around people with vision. If you're with a man without vision, they will see your ambition as a threat. So you need to have somebody that is aspiring, that is going somewhere. Marry someone that is secure enough not to be threatened by your success. If your ambition is this high and his is this low, then you guys are going to have some issues. And then in terms of who you hang out with, who your friends are, who your mentors are, who you're looking up to, surround yourself with people that are going somewhere, or you will settle far below your potential. If you're not surrounding yourself with people who are aspiring, who have a journey before them, anywhere looks okay. You might just become a manager and you just feel, hey, I'm a manager. Meanwhile, your mates are international directors. other people are aspiring and are the Ngozi Okonjo-Iwealas of this world. What stops you? The only thing stopping you is in your mind and the people you surround yourself with. But where you basically, surround yourself with people with vision, they themselves will keep pushing you. They keep asking you, have you tried this? Why not try this? And you keep going up. So that's what I do. I surround myself with people who have ambition, who are going somewhere. And that way I've been able to be lifted by God's grace beyond what I do. So choose authentic mentors, really, not people that tell you to do something and in their lives they are not doing it. The person has to be authentic. You need to see that this person is living out what they are asking you to do. People with integrity and people that are honest about the challenges. Some people will gloss over their challenges and make it look as if life is so good. No, that we had challenges. I had children who had early onset of asthma. Sometimes I'll come back from work back in the day, and as I'm parking the house up for my side, I say, "Oh, mommy, the child is breathing, is hyperventilating." That's how we end up at hospital for the next 2 days. I have to carry laptop and sit by hospital bed, checking drips and working with a dongle, which we were using then to get internet to connect to my office to work. It wasn't easy. So don't let anybody tell you that it's easy. It's a lot of hard work. But, so make sure that you're choosing people around you deliberately and choose your goals. People that will either raise your ceiling or become it if you're not careful. So be careful on who you choose.
Thank you so much, ma. It is good for you to choose right, be in the company of people that knows where they are going and that have vision. If you are with people that don't have where they are going, I always say that everywhere that people around them are going is their way. Oh, I'm going somewhere, let me escort you there. Don't follow people that are like that. We have been encouraged tonight that we should follow people that have vision. And I can tell you tonight that Dr. Ife is one person that has vision. And so many of us on the platform tonight can bear witness that at one point in time, we have seen her as a good mentor, and she continues to navigate. We believe that it's still moving high. People like us are still following. I have this comment from Regina. I said, Dr. Ifeoma, thank you immensely for letting us understand the importance of balancing our career and family, and also encouraging women to develop themselves. A lot of women, they just sang it on, I need to take care of my family, my children. And at the end of the day, they become liability even to their husband. We have been encouraged tonight that we can actually manage everything together with hard work. Make sure you are determined to just do the right thing and do them right. Thank you so much, ma. And in closing, what is a piece of advice you have for young people who are choosing, okay, if you could speak directly to the young woman you were in 1993, starting out of Sunrise, DBM and B, what will you tell her? If you are seeing yourself now, if you are at that time, if you are like this and you know that time, what will you tell yourself?
Well, in the book Grace and Grace, there is a letter, at the back of it to my young self. So please, everybody on this call, if you've not ordered yours, it's on Amazon, look for it and order the book. But in summary, I would say that growth is not linear. I also mentioned it. You don't just say, I'm growing. I mean, I started in advertising, moved to public health, to water and sanitation, to multiple sectors in ActionAid, and then to infrastructure and all of that. So growth is not linear. You might have to go sideways, go horizontal, vertical to go. And one of the things I would have said to my younger self is that everyone, you would outgrow people, you outgrow roles, and even versions of yourself. that once felt permanent. You will outgrow all of those. Well, anybody that told me that I'll be heading engineers, and not just engineers or Nigeria, British trained Oyibo engineers, and discussing how bill of quantities, how hospitals, roads will be built and all of that. Procurement, large-scale procurement in millions of USD and all of that. It's something that you just tell yourself, I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me, and you just keep going. So outgrowing people and roles isn't betrayal, it's growth doing its job. So you really need to basically be prepared to grow and know that you can be a better version of you.
Thank you, ma. Let me encourage every one of us, please get a copy of Grace and Grit. You can find it in Amazon. Unfortunately, I wanted to copy that link, but I think I can send the link to, we can put it on our YouTube page so that you see it there. Please visit our YouTube, like, comment, and also encourage us to be able to do more. And in closing, I don't know if there's any person with a question. If there's no question, we are closing now. And in closing, I want to ask, what's my accountability partner want to tell us on BoomHerVoice and people like us on this space? Thank you, ma.
Oh, well, I want to first say thank you to everyone that spent their evening with us. We do not take for granted that you've come back from work and decided to join, especially those joining from Nigeria. And those that are joining, I saw Auntie Regina Zoma joining from the United States. So it's a privilege to have your audience this evening. Thank you so much for joining the conversation. But, what I say to everyone, do not allow anything to stop you. Just keep improving yourself. Know that you will be better than the person you were yesterday, and keep working at it. And where you run into a door that closes, don't beat yourself up. I've had, and I think I didn't bring this out, but I've had situations where I applied for jobs and I get to the final stage, and then after the last, just myself and one person, and then they will now say, oh, we decided to give it to this person, and I feel so down. And normally when I do that, the Lord will just say, but you asked me to choose. And I say, yeah, but I wanted another job. I'm bored, I'm tired of this job, I was wanting that one. And he says, no. Yeah, just give it a few months. He gives me something that is far better than what it was I was struggling to get. So really, again, I'll come back to that relationship with him that allows him to choose what is best for you. And when he's choosing, to be humble enough to allow him choose. When he says no, cry if you want to. I've had my shares of doing that. But affirm the fact that you believe him, that he knows the way. And I can tell you that that has been my experience. Each time that door closes and I'm not able to go through, he opens something that, whoa, I say to myself, really, how did I land here? And so I would encourage everyone, make that relationship with him a priority, because that's what has really propelled me this far. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you so much. I actually learned so much tonight, so many things tonight that I couldn't have learned if I had just called you alone and just visit you and come and say, okay, let me learn. But because you have poured out yourself tonight to learn a lot, I learned, and I know that the young people that are on the platform tonight will have learned a lot, especially learning that growth is not linear. And I can attest to that growth, you can come out as a graduate of accountancy and there is no work for accountancy. Which other work can you do? If you come out of university and you are looking for a job and there is no job and there is a place they want volunteer. We have learned so many things tonight that we cannot begin to quantify. We have learned about the fact that when you want support, It's not, you don't, it's not, I just want people, you will build support. And tonight, I can't just be mentioning a lot of things, but one thing that is key about the discussion tonight is that the God at the center point. Once you have God at every point of decision, even when you make decision and you believe that is, and God does not want you to do that, because God is always by your side, we always say, sorry, my daughter, my son, this is not the way to go. And when that door closes, don't sit by the door. Look for another door, because when one door closes, another one will open. But if you sit down, you will not even see the door that is going to be open. Tonight, I want us to appreciate our guest speaker. I don't know how to appreciate you, but God will help us to appreciate you because of your time. You have really spent your time and you have poured into us tonight. The only thing that you can say is thank you so much. Thank you very much. Thank you indeed. And we appreciate you. Thank you, everyone that is on the platform tonight. And I'm sure that your time is not wasted. I want to appreciate everyone that make it a day with us. Those that are linking with us from outside Nigeria, especially, I appreciate you. I appreciate my sister-in-law that is on the platform tonight, Pastor Bosede Adedeji. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I also have mentees that are on the platform tonight. I thank people that are from Come Up Higher, globally. Pastor Caroline Adegbite, I thank you so much. Chinyere, the ActionAid group, thank you so much for coming to learn from our mentor tonight. We know ActionAid, we call ourselves by name, but we know who is mentor and who is mentee. Thank you so much, Kemi. Thank you so much, Ibitade, our guest, and Abiodun, everyone that have been able to make it tonight. Thank you so much. Bosse Agre, thank you so much. We thank you. Then Dr. Pastor Christy Banako Mofaya, thank you. Thank you, Pastor Folari Shadeus, my friend. Thank you so much, Ifeoma Afemefua. Oh, is that our own Ifeoma too? Thank you so much, Jane Francis Olaleye. Thank you so much, Judy. Thank you, everyone that have made it to join us tonight. Those that internet are thrown out, thank you so much, Pastor Dupe Olaitan. Thank you so much, everyone. If I'm not able to mention your name, it's not that you're not important, it's just that time. Obi Opela. Then thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. Appreciate you. Please visit BoomHerVoice Network on YouTube. We have sent the YouTube link. Visit us on Facebook. We are just starting. We need your encouragement, and God will encourage every one of you. Where you also, have your vision, people will also support you. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming. To our guest speaker, thank you so much, man. God bless you. I appreciate you greatly. Thank you so much.
God bless you.
Thank you so much. I see a lot of my friends and family on the call.
Also to let everybody know that my name is Right Honorable Olubunmi Adelugba. If you remove the right from me, then it's not a speaker. Thank you so much. Yes. I appreciate every one of you. We thank God for Almighty. It's been night of continuous learning. Thank you so much, ma. Well done, ma. Very impactful, greater heights, ma.
Thank you.
It's refreshing, ma. All the best. Please share the link. Okay. The link is BoomHerVoice. Just press BoomHerVoice in YouTube. It will come out. BoomHerVoice Network. And on Facebook is also BoomHerVoice Network. Join us. This will also be shared on Facebook. It's actually live on Facebook as we speak. And if you find that it's live on YouTube. Thank you so much for everything. Just visit our YouTube channel, like, comment, share. Thank you so much. God bless.
All right. Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Good night,
Thanks
everyone.
so much for
Bye.
joining.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you.
Good night,
Bye.
madam. Well done.
Bye. Good night,
Good
ma.
night.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Lovely man.
Have a lovely evening. Thank you so much. I appreciate every one of you.
So all the best to Sister B. Ekushel.
Thank
Well
you.
with
You are
you.
able to join eventually.
Yeah, I did. Thank you, ma.
So thank God.
Bye.
Bye.